Hi kids, I'm Belinda, and I hardly ever shut up. You'll never know when I might pop up and say something. Okay. Let's get into it.
Fifi was a little fox. She lived in the vast, endless desert. The sun blazed down every day, making the sand hot beneath her tiny paws. The desert was a place of extremes, with scorching days and freezing nights. Fifi often found herself feeling lonely and bored, with only the occasional cactus or tumbleweed to keep her company. She longed for something more, something exciting to break the monotony of her days.
Max was a little mouse. He lived in the bustling city, where the streets were always crowded and the noise never seemed to stop. The city was a maze of tall buildings and busy people, and Max often felt overwhelmed by it all. The constant hustle and bustle left him feeling exhausted and drained. He yearned for a place where he could find some peace and quiet, away from the relentless noise and activity of the city.
One day, Fifi and Max's paths crossed. They met in a small, quiet park on the edge of the city, a rare oasis of calm in the midst of the urban chaos. Both of them were feeling particularly down that day, weighed down by their respective environments. As they sat together, they shared their stories and realized they had something in common, a deep sense of longing for a different life.
"I wish I lived in the city. It looks so exciting," Fifi exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she imagined the bright lights and endless adventures that the city seemed to promise. She had always been fascinated by the stories she had heard about the city, with its towering skyscrapers and vibrant nightlife. To her, it seemed like a place where something new and exciting was always happening.
"And I wish I lived in the desert. It looks so peaceful," Max replied, his voice filled with longing. He had always dreamed of the wide open spaces and the quiet serenity of the desert. The idea of being able to see the stars at night, without the glare of city lights, was something that appealed to him deeply. He imagined the calm and tranquility that the desert could offer, a stark contrast to the constant noise and activity of the city.
They both sighed, dreaming of a life different from their own. As they sat together, they realized that while their lives were very different, they both had something to offer each other. Fifi could share the excitement and energy of the city with Max, while Max could teach Fifi about the peace and beauty of the desert. They decided to become friends and help each other experience the best of both worlds. From that day on, Fifi and Max would meet regularly, sharing stories and adventures from their respective homes and finding joy in the friendship they had discovered.
Fifi had an idea. "Let's swap homes.
Really?
It will be a real adventure for us."
Max thought for a minute, then he smiled. And with that, their grand adventure began. The two friends shake paws on their new deal. Okay. Fifi arrived in the city. She had always dreamed of visiting the bustling metropolis with its bright lights and endless possibilities. The city was a place of wonder and excitement, and Fifi was eager to explore every corner of it. Wow, it was so big. Buildings touched the sky. Fifi had never seen anything like it before. The skyscrapers seemed to reach the heavens, and she felt so small in comparison. The city was alive with energy, and Fifi could feel it in the air. Cars zoomed past. Fifi felt lost. The streets were crowded with people and vehicles, all moving at a frantic pace. It was overwhelming for a small animal like Fifi, who was used to the quiet of the countryside. She tried to navigate the busy streets, but it was difficult to keep up.
She saw a half-eaten cheeseburger that somebody had carelessly dropped on the pavement. It was unlike anything she had ever seen before. The cheeseburger was a work of art, and it stood proudly in the middle of a bustling square. Fifi couldn't believe her eyes. It smelled delicious. Fifi took a bite. The cheeseburger was rich and creamy, and it melted in her mouth. It was the best food she had ever tasted. For a moment, Fifi forgot all about the chaos of the city and simply enjoyed the delicious treat.
A car horn scared her. The sudden noise jolted Fifi back to reality. She realized that the city was full of surprises, both good and bad. The honking cars and bustling crowds were a stark contrast to the peaceful countryside she was used to. The city was not as easy as she thought. Fifi faced many challenges as she tried to navigate the urban jungle. The noise, the crowds, and the fast pace of life were all new to her. but Fifi was determined to make the most of her adventure. She knew that with a little courage and a lot of curiosity, she could conquer the city and discover all its hidden wonders.
Learn from your mistakes. Everybody makes a mistake sometime. It's okay to make them, just make sure that you do better next time.
Max arrived in the desert. He had been dreaming about this moment for weeks, ever since he read about deserts in his favorite adventure book. The vast open space was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Wow, it was so quiet. The silence was almost surreal, a stark contrast to the bustling city life he was used to. He could hear his own heartbeat, and the gentle whisper of the wind as it danced across the sand. Sand stretched as far as he could see. The sun felt warm on his skin, not too hot, just perfect. Max felt calm, a sense of peace washing over him. He took a deep breath, inhaling the dry, earthy scent of the desert. The desert was peaceful, just as he imagined. The golden hues of the setting sun painted the landscape in a magical light. He felt like he was in a different world, a place where time stood still. He saw a tall cactus standing proudly in the middle of the desert. It was a giant saguaro cactus, with its arms reaching up towards the sky. It looked funny. Max giggled at the sight of the cactus, imagining it as a friendly desert giant waving hello. He couldn't help but laugh at the thought. He climbed to the top of the cactus, carefully navigating its spiny surface. The view from up there was amazing. He could see the endless expanse of the desert, the rolling dunes, and the distant mountains. It was a sight he would never forget. Fifi was still hungry. She saw a bakery. Yummy! She sneaked in and started munching on a lovely-looking pie.
A fox!
Fifi ran. The baker chased her. Fifi hid in a basket. Phew, she was safe. But the basket was full of flowers. They tickled her nose. Max was thirsty. He walked and walked. Suddenly, he saw something amazing. A pool of water sparkled in the sun. It was an oasis.
How lovely.
Max drank the cool water. He saw colorful birds bathing. Max felt happy and refreshed. After a week, Fifi and Max met again. They were both happy and tired.
The city was exciting but too noisy.
The desert was peaceful, but too quiet.
They laughed. It was good to be back home. Fifi and Max had learned something important. There's no place like home. But they also learned that it's good to try new things. And most importantly, they learned that even though they were different, they could still be the best of friends.
Thank you for watching. It would be awesome if you would take the time to comment, like, and subscribe. Ring the bell so that we can notify you of our new videos. Have a great day. Bye-bye.